Hi, I'm Anu Saiwan, and I'll be the host for today's podcast. Welcome back. For those who don't know, the Chris Friends Professional Career Exploration Club is an organization dedicated to interviewing professionals for many different career paths. We aim to help students find a career that's right for them. And we have a very special guest today. Give a warm welcome to Amara W. Elliott. Miss Elliott received her undergraduate degree from the University of California, Santa Barbara, majoring in English and philosophy. She then received her law degree from the McGeorge School of Law, and she is currently our chief legal advisor to the mayor and the San Diego city attorney. Welcome.
Thank you.
So what got you interested in law?
I think it was my family. So I'm the first in the family to go to college and get a degree. So there weren't too many people to talk to about what it was like to go to college or go to law school, but my grandmother always wanted to be an attorney. And she was born in 1922. So women that were born in 1922 didn't often have the opportunity to go to law school. So she used to talk to me about it when I was young a lot. And it just encouraged me to want to apply for law school. I also thought that law would give me an opportunity to be a voice for people that often don't have a voice in our politics or our legal communities. My mom and her side of the family immigrated to the United States from Mexico. So I got to see firsthand what their experience was like in our country. And I was very concerned that people who don't necessarily have access to certain things like justice wouldn't have a voice. So I went to law school for that reason.
Wow, because like personal experiences can be a really big factor in like motivation.
Yeah.
In jobs. So what does your daily job routine look like?
Well, it's really hard to predict. So I'm the attorney for the city of San Diego, and as city attorney, I'm an elected official. So most city attorneys in the state of California are not elected. I'm the first woman, first Latina, and first mom to serve in this capacity for a city that's been around since 1850. So as an elected official, my priority is protecting the people who live in the city of San Diego. And I've got two main roles. One is I'm the prosecutor for the city, and we prosecute low-level crimes. So those are misdemeanors that could be anything from trespass to DUIs to domestic violence. So about half of my office does that kind of work. And we're also working in the communities that San Diego Unified School District serves. So if you have a house where drugs are being sold, or a neighbor that's got rats on their roof, or they've got a lot of excess trash that could be dangerous for your community, we can get involved in that. So that's half of what I do. And when I'm working as a city's prosecutor, I work for the people of the state of California. I don't report to the mayor, and I don't report to the city council, because I'm doing justice, and politics does not belong in the justice system. The other half of my job is being the attorney for the mayor and for the city council and all the departments within the city. So it's like being in-house counsel to the city. And we've got about 11,500 employees that each have their own workloads. They're doing contracts. They've got employment issues. Maybe they're buying a building, or they're hiring security guards to protect our parks. So those are the types of issues we get all the time. We've got police department, the fire department, all the park and rec facilities are within our jurisdiction, lifeguards, engineers, contract workers, librarians. So all of the services that we use every day as members of the city are impacted by the work that my office does. So on an ordinary day, it could be anything from we're filing a lawsuit to we're prosecuting a certain type of crime. I respond to a lot of emergency situations. So you never know when you come into work whether you're going to be able to get to the agenda you thought you had for the day, because anything could happen. We could have an accident involving one of our employees that requires immediate attention. We might get a court ruling that completely changes the way we're doing business. So every day is new. And we also work a lot with the media. So when, like yourself, when a media has questions about maybe a ruling or something the city did, they want us to respond maybe within 2 hours. So we try to turn our responses around quickly. And I've got almost 400 employees. It's very hard for me to know from minute to minute what all is going on. So I have to touch base with the attorney who is working on it, so we can prepare a response for the media. And then you're going to read about it in the Union Tribune, or you're going to hear about it in the car on your way home from school or from work. So that's really what our day is like. We're at meetings, we're responding to emergencies, we're responding to the media, and then we're just conducting the city's business.
Wow. So you talked about having a bunch of employees and having different workload for each employee. So what traits do you look for when hiring an employee?
I think that's a really good question, and I'm glad you asked it. So I have spent my entire career working in the public sector. Even when I was in private law, I was working for the public sector. I started working for schools, then I went to the county of San Diego. I also worked for the transit authority, and I've been at the city for 12 years. What I look for is a dedication to public service. For us, it's not just a job, it's a mission. And I hire people that really feel connected to their communities, because when you're in public service, you don't necessarily make a lot of money. It really has to be about the feeling you get at the end of the day. So when I'm driving around the city, I can point to a park and show my kids that I had a role in building that park or that fire station. It really feels good to contribute to our community like that. So that's what I'm looking for, is somebody that has a story about why they love their community and why they want to work for our office. The second thing I look for is whether a candidate has done their homework. So they should know what our priorities in the office are. They should know what I work on so that I know that they're interested in what we're doing. And then the third thing I look for is somebody who is willing to do any job in the office. And I'll give you an example. When I'm walking through the halls of my office, if I see trash on the floor, I'm going to pick it up. If the phone is ringing and nobody's grabbing the phone, I'm going to pick it up. There is no job too small. And I feel that we all should feel like that when we're doing our jobs. We need to be team players and support each other. And sometimes that's going to mean stepping out of your job description and just helping the engine run, the engine of the city attorney. So I'm looking for all those things when I hire people.
So how do you propose high schoolers prepare for a job like yours?
Well, I had a wonderful high school student over the summer who came in, and she helped me to get organized. And it was actually extremely helpful. And we've got, like I said, the city attorney's office has been around for 171 years. We've got a lot of documents in our office. I've got closets full of boxes that I don't even know what's in those boxes. So what I had her do was go through the boxes and figure out if these were documents that we needed to keep or things we should upload into our system, which meant that she had to read the documents, and she got a really good understanding what the city does. And she had a wonderful time doing that. She will be coming back over the holidays because she's getting some good job experience with us. And it may not sound like a lot, but it did require her to think about what she was reading and decide whether this was a document that needed to be kept or thrown away or brought to my attention for action. So we will be writing her a letter of recommendation that she can use in college. And it also helped her because she wanted to figure out if she should go to law school or what she should major in when she goes to college, because she knows she has an interest in the legal field, but she wasn't sure what she wanted to do. So I am looking for high school students. We use college students, and we also have law students and post-bar students. So as I mentioned when we first started talking, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't have a mentor in that regard because there was no college graduates or law school graduates in my family. And because of the generosity of people during high school and college, I had internships that helped me decide what I wanted to do. We will always pay it forward in my office. And in particular, I'm looking for students who are people of color or have had an experience that shows that there's been some hardship, because we want to make sure that everybody's got an opportunity. And sometimes it's just somebody who is encouraging you to try something new. And we love that opportunity. So we go into the high schools and do moot court. We do a lot of trainings about safe dating relationships. So it's not just coming to intern with us, although we'd love to have some high school students, but letting us into your school so we can talk about the things we're seeing and keep you safe.
I think that's great because many companies, they don't offer high school internships. So they don't offer like the opportunity for high schoolers to actually see what they do in the field.
Yeah. And I think for us, because we do so many internships, it's not just your ordinary internship, because I've got a really unusual office. So the high school student I mentioned got to go to court and watch a prosecution. She got to help with cases. Now, of course, she's not working at a lawyer's level or even a college student's level, but she got a lot of information. She was like a sponge. And it just helped her to figure out, what she wanted to do. And it was a really good experience for her and for us.
Wow. Okay, that's really good because I think a lot of high school students have been looking for high school internship, but they're not always available.
Yeah. Well, I think the trade-off is that we didn't pay her. But we also worked around her for her summer schedule because I wanted her to have a summer. Kids need to have their summers and they need to hang with their friends. So we had her come in 2 days a week for about 6 hours each day. And really that was enough for her to be able to get her letter of recommendation, for her to get a skill set that she could talk about in her college applications. So I would encourage high school students to look for the field that they want to work in. Let's say you want to be an engineer, maybe contact someone at Qualcomm or ask your parents if they know anybody that works in certain areas. And just see if you can come in. Maybe it's just a couple days a week. It doesn't have to be 40 hours a week. Nobody's expecting you to work an adult's life. In fact, you should enjoy being kids. But you can still get that experience and negotiate your own time. So maybe you've got 6 hours a week. I run a domestic violence clinic. We would love to have some high school students coming in and helping. We have kids that are coming from abused households and need to be babysat while their parents are getting counseling services. So I even will go over there and read to the kids because we have a playroom for them. So just always be courageous and ask for the opportunity, because sometimes the working folks get very busy and they're not thinking about you. But if you say, hey, I have an interest in working in your library, I've got a full library and we're always updating our books. Terrific. We would love to use someone like you. So just make the ask and see what comes about, and don't feel like you have to commit your entire summer or your Christmas break or Easter break or whatever it is. I think a lot of corporations and government agencies are willing to let high schoolers in the door.
So how has the coronavirus changed your work?
Oh, it 100% changed the work. So almost overnight, we transitioned from an office that was functioning out of a building to offices that were working from our homes. And I've got a lot of young parents that have kids in school, so they instantly became teachers or babysitters, and we're still working that way. We're a year and a half in. And a lot of my staff, I just came from work to speak with you, but I'm mostly in the office, but a lot of my staff are still working at home. And we're trying to figure out what it's going to be like, because our approach in the office, and I think government is generally like this, is that we look at the human being and all the issues that come with being a human being. And we've got parents to care for or kids to care for. So I'm very flexible that way. And I don't think that we thought that government could work out of a home, but it's been very efficient. And in fact, I think that we're busier than ever. And I worry about self-care for my employees, because when you're working from home, you don't have the end of the day where you jump in your car and you put work behind you. You're in your workplace all day long. So the tendency is just not to ignore the work. So I've got employees that are actually working 12-hour days because they don't know when to stop. So that's not necessarily good, but we didn't miss a beat. Even with we have a family, we call it the Family Justice Center, which offers services for domestic violence and sex trafficking victims. We didn't miss a beat. We went to telehealth, and we're doing things similar to this. It's not ideal, but it certainly has worked, and we'll see what the future holds. We all thought we were coming back to work next week, but I decided we're going to slow things down because the numbers were getting bad again.
So how does your work differ from that of a lawyer working for like a private firm?
Well, I would say the biggest difference, because I mentioned that even when I was in private law, I was doing public work. So I worked in a law firm, and our clients were school districts throughout the state of California. And I worked with K through 12 community colleges and the state college system. And the biggest difference is I'm in my building with my clients. So I can walk down the hall and talk to a client. When you work for a private law firm, you've got to schedule a meeting and get them on the phone. And maybe they don't want to talk to you too much because they're going to be paying you for every minute they're on the phone. When you're in government, our client can come to us at any time and not worry about the bills because we are on the payroll. The other thing is when you're in private law, you have to document every minute of your entire workday because we have what's called billable hours. And every law firm will say to the attorneys they hire, we want you to bill 1,800, and I'm making up the number because every law firm's different, 1,800 hours a year in billable work. So that means that you might be working 2,500 hours, but you might be able only to bill for 1,800 because your time can get written down if you took too long to work on something, or the client gets upset because the bill's too big, so they negotiate it down. So it's really hard because you're always worrying about making your hours. In the public sector, you can worry about doing your job to the best degree you can do it and not worry that you are billing your client blind. So those are the biggest differences. I know for a lot of people, they go into private law because it pays better. And they've got school loans. People come out with a lot of money owed. I owed about $100,000 when I got out of law school. You got to pay that off. So and that was a long time ago. I'm sure it's quite more than that because I've been practicing for 27 years. So it's got to be a lot more expensive than that. And, so some people go into the private sector, get those loans paid down, and then they can come into the public sector. And the paychecks are not as impressive as if you were in the private sector.
So to wrap it all up, could you give us an elevator pitch on becoming a city attorney?
Yeah, certainly. I have never been bored as a city attorney, as a deputy city attorney. And there's a great deal of satisfaction that comes with a job where you can drive through your community and see that you've had an impact on people's lives every day. It's extremely fulfilling. You get to practice law to the fullest extent. You can really analyze an issue and work directly with your clients and fix things. We're problem solvers, and we also are protectors. So I value both things, and I would not do anything different. I fully love my job and look forward to continuing to do it until I retire.
Well, that was a very insightful interview. Thank you for sharing incredibly perceptive information about your career in law. I hope everybody learned as much as I did. A huge thank you to Ms. Elliott for joining us today. We are SRPCEC, and we hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Good job.